Today I'm going to be talking about the basic features of FACEIT. I'm going to start with the basic screen layout. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you see the collection of tools. The tools are organized into different groups. So for example, these tools are all related to importing data into FACEIT. EasySim are the collection of climbing tools, crop models, and plotting utilities. And we'll be talking more about the RA tools momentarily. On the right-hand side of the screen is the FACEIT history. So let's go ahead and get started by importing data into FACEIT. And the first thing we'll do is we'll run this tool called upload file, which allows you to bring in data from your local computer. So I'm going to upload a file here called experiment.json and click on execute. And one thing you'll see here is that as tasks run in FACEIT, every task will have its own color. By the time it reaches green, that means the task has been completed. You can use the upload file tool to retrieve data from a website. So if you know the URL of a file you want to bring in, you can do that here. You can bring in data via Globus Online. In order to do that, you need to know the Globus endpoint name. And so I'm going to bring in an example climate file here. You can also use custom tools to bring in data. So we have two examples here called download PSIMS soil data and download PSIMS climate data. These are two tools that bring in data in a format that EasySim can understand. It's very simple. You basically just select the data type that you want and select the latitude and longitude. Click execute. FACEIT can also interface with external websites and databases. So I'm going to take a look at the DayMet browser. DayMet is a data set created by, I believe, Oak Ridge National Laboratory. So what we're doing here is we're actually connecting to their website, running the scripts they have on their site to interface with the Google Maps API, selecting the data we want, and then clicking the Send to Galaxy button. Oops. And clicking the Send to Galaxy button to bring in the data directly from their website. So we can also, one other thing we're working on is integration with the AgNIP database. So hopefully in future releases we'll be able to bring in data directly from their database. So once you have some files in your history, there are a couple things you can do to interact with the data. Next to each item in your history, there's an eye icon. By clicking on that, you can view the contents of the file. This example is an AgNIP formatted experiment. By clicking on the pencil icon next to an item, you can rename it. So this file has the name of the URL I entered earlier. I'm just going to call this one David's experiment. And you can see it changes the name. You can remove items from your history by clicking the X button next to each item. You can also have different histories, multiple histories. This collection of files is in one history called unnamed history, but you can switch between different histories that you've saved. So in this case, I want to select the EasySim inputs history. So I click the down arrow next to that and click on switch, and you'll see that it has now the items I uploaded earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and start a workflow now. By clicking on the workflow menu here, we'll see a list of the saved workflows I have. I'm going to select this workflow called EasySim DSAT. So the EasySim workflow starts out with three basic inputs. One is an experiment, one is climate data, and one is soil data. And we're going to use this tool called Experiment Creator to create an experiment. And what we're doing is we're just saying create an experiment that runs for 10 years, starting in 1980, that will generate an experiment for DSAT using maize, and create two scenarios, one that's irrigated and one that is not. the download PSIMS climate data and download PSIMS soil data tools I mentioned earlier. I'm just selecting the data type I want on the latitude and longitude. So these set of tools here import data in what we call the EasySim or PSIMS format. We can't use those directly in the model, so what we do is we add this step here called the model translator that takes it from the EasySim format into the native DSAT format. So let's give that a try here, and we run the workflow by clicking on this little gear and clicking Run. Oops. I'll go ahead and save this first. And then click on Run Workflow. So while that's running, I'm just going to take a moment and explain how to share your history. So if you have a history that you think is interesting or you want to share with other people, you can click on this gear icon above your history and click on Share or Publish. And when you do that, any user on the system can click on the Shared Data link above. They can click on Published Histories, and they can see the collection of histories that other users on the system have published. Okay, so our workflow is finished here now, and what we're going to do is take a look at this DSAT output. And what we're seeing here is actually just the raw text output from the DSAT model. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a slightly more complicated workflow now. This one is called EasySim DSAT with Plot. It starts out in a very similar manner. We have the 3 input files, experiment, climate, and soil. We do the model translation. We run the DSAT model. And what we're doing now, we're adding these 2 steps. One, we're taking that text file that DSAT generates and converting it into a netcdf format. And then we're adding a tool that takes that netcdf format and plots variables based on the context. So we're going to go ahead and run this one. Workflow. And so just like you can publish your histories, you can also publish workflows. If you go to the workflow menu, you can select the workflow that you're interested in, click the down arrow next to it, click Share or Publish. When you do that, your workflow will be available under Shared Data, Publish Workflows. And here are some example workflows that you can import into your, you can import and run with your own data. Okay, so our EasySim DSAT with Plot workflow is just finishing up now. And so if we click the eye icon next to the plot, you can see the output of our experiment. This is just a basic plot that's looking at yield over time in 2 scenarios. So the next thing I want to take a quick look at is something we call data libraries. So if you click on Shared Data Libraries, you'll see some libraries we have set up. The libraries are very similar to shared histories. The difference is that these are something that the FACEIT administrator set up. And one other difference here is that you can pick, instead of importing the entire history, you can pick and choose from individual files. So I'm just going to pick this one climate file here, import it. And now when we go back to our main page, we should see the item added here. Okay, and I think that's sort of the basics. And I'd be happy to send it to the next user and answer any questions at the end.